Welcome to the latest episode of Which Giant Corporation is Screwing the Consumer Today. Today it is Amazon. That's right. Can you believe it? Amazon screwing people over? No, that would never happen. Anyway, this was reported by The Verge and many other places. I saw other people on YouTube talking about it, and I wanted to give you guys my 2 cents because this is just yet another example of how you do not own anything digitally. If you've ever purchased, you've ever pressed the buy button on anything digitally, you don't own it, and you never have, and you never will, and they will take it away. It's only a matter of time. So what are we talking about? Amazon's killing a feature that let you download and back up Kindle books after February 26th. That is literally in 9 days from the time of recording this video. Okay, you can only download books from the Kindle store to your e-reader over Wi-Fi. Let's see what they have to say here. Amazon is removing a feature from its website allowing you to download purchased books to a computer and then copy them manually to a Kindle over USB. It's a feature that a lot of Kindle users are probably not aware of, given books can be more easily sent to devices over Wi-Fi, but it's especially useful for backing up purchases or converting them to other formats compatible with non-Kindle e-readers. And then here is the source, ladies and gentlemen. This is a screenshot of a Kindle user that says download and transfer via USB. After downloading, you can use your USB cable to connect your computer and Kindle. Your Kindle will appear as a drive on your computer. You can copy your downloaded file from your computer to your Kindle's document folder. Just so happens I have a Kindle. This one didn't kill itself like the previous one, and there is a, as you can see here, a USB. This is a micro USB because this is an older version, because I don't read very many books, but other models have, you know, USB-C or whatever. But basically you can plug this into your computer and just drag and drop files to and from, and it's great. Books are typically very small files, whether it's like EPUB or whatever, super fast to transfer that way, and I've done many transfers myself personally using that method. I like to back up things on my computer. I also like to manually change the cover art of some of my different books that I have here on the Kindle. So this is a feature that I am someone that uses this feature. Okay, now I'm not going to say it's all the time, it's rarely, but this is a feature I am familiar with. And here you can see this nice little teal eye right here. It says starting February 26 2025, the download and transfer via USB option will no longer be available. You can still send Kindle books to your Wi-Fi enabled devices by selecting the deliver or remove from device option. Now I'm not a hyper Kindle user. Okay, in fact I often don't even read that much, but I will say that is it possible, and maybe this exists already, are there Kindles out there that simply do not have a USB thing? Like, I can imagine a world where they just remove all the ports here, no buttons, no ports, nothing, you just charge it wirelessly and then that's it, GG. They could have just gone that route. I don't know why they wouldn't, like, because this just looks horrible. Like, they're choosing to remove a consumer friendly feature with no explanation or a reason why. Right now we're going to talk about why this is so bad in just a second, but as the article stated, this probably isn't a feature that many people were even using, right? Like, a lot of people, it's so easy to just download via Wi-Fi, it's so easy to send via Wi-Fi. Why would you even consider doing this in the first place? Why would you, like, a lot of people don't even use a computer, they just have their phone and their Kindle, right? Like, why would you go through all the effort of doing this? Most people aren't going to be fazed by this feature going away, but it is a big deal. Okay, it is a big deal. And why might that be? It's useful if you don't have access to a Wi-Fi network, and although it's a tedious process since purchased books can only be downloaded one at a time, there's some peace of mind knowing you have offline copies of all your books. So first of all, there have been some instances of copyright disputes causing Amazon to remove books from the Kindle store, right? So if you had purchased them, now you no longer have access to them, right? And a solution to that would have been, you could download the book to your computer, and then no matter what happens to that book in the future with Amazon, their publishing rights, whatever the case might be, okay, you paid for the book, you still have it because it's on your computer. Okay, that's a great strategy. Also, there's been instances, and this isn't common, but there's some instances of books literally being changed, like text and things being altered after the book is already out. Now again, I'm not a massive reader, and so I know that this doesn't happen very often, I'm sure, but just the fact that it could happen is something that people might not be comfortable with, right? Like, what if we enter into a world where they say, oh well, this book isn't culturally sensitive enough, like we got to go back and change, you know, To Kill a Mockingbird or whatever the case might be, right? I mean, crazier things have happened, and you know, we're in 2025, who knows what the world's going to be like in 2035. But the point is, I'm not comfortable with the company that I bought the book from being able to change the contents of that book in the future. I'm sorry, I'm just not, right? And so if you download the book to your computer, then that is an offline copy that can't be touched or altered in any way, right? That's great. You don't have to worry about that ever happening. And again, not that it happens often, but like, at least peace of mind, you know, know that the book that you bought in that condition is saved in a folder somewhere on a flash drive on an older computer, whatever the case might be. Okay, also I'm sure you're familiar with the possibility of losing access to your Kindle account. People's accounts get hacked, they forget their passwords, they have two-factor set up, and then they get a new phone number and now they can't log in, or whatever the case is. If you lose access to your Kindle account, well, it would be nice if you had a backup of all your books, right? I mean, hello, everyone's been in a scenario where they've lost access to an account at some point. And again, these are not books, we're not talking about renting books. Okay, we're not talking about books that you have access to via subscription. We're talking about books that you've bought. Okay, you've clicked the purchase button, you didn't click the rent button, you didn't subscribe to Kindle, whatever, so you get access to these books, right? Like, that's a totally different thing. If we're talking about Spotify, for example, of course I understand why Spotify wouldn't let you just download MP3s, right? Obviously, because you're not buying the music, you're paying for a subscription to access the catalog. Okay, that's a totally different thing. Same thing if you rent a movie, then it makes sense that you wouldn't be able to download that movie to your computer. Okay, obviously I can understand that, right? But in this situation, we're talking about books that you bought, you paid for them, and now Kindle is removing a feature that allows you to do what you want with that book. Okay, if I want to transfer it to a device manually via cable, they are removing my ability to do so from their website. Okay, now I am gonna be letting you guys in on a little secret. Okay, there are ways to get access to books that aren't through the official Kindle store. Can you believe that, right? Can you believe that? If you wanted to sell the 7 Cs, look, I'm 30, so I remember LimeWire, I remember FrostWire, BitTorrent, uTorrent, Pirate Bay. I was there. Okay, we were all there. If you're old enough, you know. Okay, if you know, you know. And the number one reason why those things stopped being relevant isn't because they don't exist anymore. Okay, a quick Google search could show you that a lot of that stuff is still existing to this day. Okay, the number one thing that killed those services and doing things in that way is that services like Spotify popped up that were, first of all, legal, and they were easy to use, they were cheap, they were consumer friendly. Okay, and so all of a sudden, it, like, sure, I'll just pay $10 a month and not have to deal with any of that stuff. I don't have to worry about getting viruses, I don't have to worry about breaking the law, I don't have to worry about any of that thing. You know what I mean? Same thing with Netflix. You just subscribe to Netflix. Now you don't have to look at movies illegally. Okay, you don't have to download them from some sketchy, like, you know, Russian, foreign, whatever website. Okay, you just subscribe as $10 a month or whatever, and you just watch movies. That's fine. That's really what killed those services. Okay, but now we're in a world where, you know, giant corporations like Amazon are removing features that customers are used to, and the removal of such feature has no benefit to the customer, right? Like if we just think about this for 2 seconds, what benefit to the consumer does this have? You can't think of one because there's not one. They are simply removing a feature that you already have, and that's where it starts and ends, right? This is just simply unfriendly to the consumer. Now, Amazon will turn around and they'll say, oh, well, it's to prevent piracy and it's for the benefit of the author and this and that. And great news, Amazon. Okay, I applaud you for that. The truth is that you just want people to have to either rebuy books that they've lost access to, or you want to force them to stay within your ecosystem. Okay, that's the real reason why you're doing this. And also, do you know how easy it is to obtain some of these books off the Amazon platform? Like, you are not doing anything to help out the author. I'm sorry. It's so unfortunate that that's the reality, because of course, if you are an author, then like you should get paid for your work. Like, people should have to buy your book. Of course, right? Of course, like, piracy is not good for the people that make the content, like, obviously. And if everyone did piracy, then we wouldn't have authors, because I mean, we'd have some people who would just do it for free because they like to do it, right? But like, everyone knows that you can't keep, the industry wouldn't stay alive if everyone did piracy. Okay, obviously. So of course you should buy your media. Of course you should do that, right? But not everyone will, and this is not going to change anything. Like, it won't even move the needle 1%, I'm sorry to say. So really, there's no upside to this. It's not like we're going to see a massive, like, oh my god, the authors are making twice as much money now that this feature is gone because it combats piracy. Like, absolutely not. You are delusional if you think that that's the case. People that are doing piracy are probably not even using Kindle to begin with, right? right? So really all you're doing is screwing over people's ability to back up their own books and to give them more autonomy over how they manage their digital content, right? That's literally all you're doing. You're just simply taking away a feature that some Kindle users find useful. Okay, and again, I just don't, there's no upside for the consumer. And so really, like, when we think about the only reason that they could be doing this is to either force you to stay within the ecosystem or to force you to repurchase content that you lost through the loss of an account or something like that, right? Like, I can't come to another logical conclusion. And so this is pure profit and anti-consumer. There's no like middle ground gray area, like, oh well, it's good for these people. Like, no, it's just all good for them and only bad for us. And again, as this article points out, very few people are even going to really notice this, right? Because most people don't even use this feature, and so it's only really bad for a small portion of the consumer base. I just hate that they want to do this on principle, right? On principle, this is yet another example of controlling how you use and access content that you purchased. Again, what's the famous quote that everyone always uses, right? It's, if purchasing isn't ownership, then piracy isn't stealing, right? That's what everyone goes by. And I think, like, look, it's not that simple, right? It's not that simple, because piracy is still wrong. Okay, like, let's just be real here. It's a little bit more nuanced than that, but like, I don't blame anyone for arriving at that conclusion. I really don't, because like, how many times are consumers going to get screwed over by policies like this before they just say, okay, well, I'm just not going to use any of your services. I'm going to just find other ways to get this content, and I'll have a better experience, right? Like, think about this for 2 seconds. If you pirate content, you are having a better experience than someone who's paying for it. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense at all? As a consumer, it's actually better to pirate content from not even from a financial perspective, right? Purely from a user experience perspective. You are at an advantage if you pirate content. That shouldn't be the case. Like, you should be rewarded for doing the right thing. I'm giving the author my money. Like, I should be giving them my money, and I in return should have the best consumer experience possible to foster that relationship and encourage people to spend money on books or movies or music or whatever the case might be. And this is the complete opposite of that. Let's take a look at more of what this article has to say. Amazon has occasionally removed books from its online store and remotely deleted them from Kindles, or edited titles and re-uploaded new copies to its e-readers. In 2009, the company removed copies of George Orwell's 1984 and Animal Farm, explaining the books had been mistakenly published. More recently, many of Roald Dahl's books, sorry if I mispronounced that, including Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, were replaced with updated copies featuring modified language on various ebook platforms. It's a reminder that you don't actually own much of the digital content you consume. Let me correct this. You don't actually own any. You don't own any of the digital content you consume, and without the ability to back up copies of ebooks, you could lose them entirely if they're banned and removed. So here we go. This is what I mentioned earlier. Like, there are examples in the past of books being removed from your device, not even removed for purchase, removed from your device. You had it on there and they pulled it away via Wi-Fi. Insane, right? Insane. And then of course, content being altered after purchase. It's wild. It is wild that they can do this, right? But they can. You signed up for their service and you agreed to the terms and conditions, and that's that. The feature is also the easiest way to convert books purchased from Amazon to other formats like EPUB that can be used on alternate devices such as a Kobo. Books downloaded through Amazon's website are delivered in the older AZW3 format, which allows DRM to be easily removed using various software tools. Amazon confirmed the removal of the book download feature in a statement to The Verge. Customers can continue reading books previously downloaded on their Kindle device and access new content through the Kindle app, Kindle for Web, as well as directly through Kindle devices with Wi-Fi capability. Once this feature goes away, you'll still be able to manually copy ebook files and other documents to Kindles over USB using Amazon's apps or third-party solutions like Calibre, which is what I use. You just won't be able to download copies of your purchased book to a computer. And let me be honest with you guys, how much longer is that going to be the case, right? Like, this is next. If we're starting here, then this is next. All right, eventually there's going to be a version of the Kindle that does not plug into anything, and you will be unable to alter its contents from your devices, from your computer, or whatever the case might be. And that is, I mean, that's just the next step, I'm sorry to say. So enjoy it while it's here. I certainly will, but really what's going to happen here is that these devices and these services are going to be so consumer unfriendly that, first of all, there will be an uptick in piracy naturally. Okay, people won't even have to be told to do it, they'll simply do it for a better experience. And secondly, competitors will likely enter the scene that will provide devices and software that give consumers a better experience. Right, for now that's not the case, because Amazon is Amazon. It's a, you know, Fortune 5 company. Basically, it's one of the biggest companies in the world. Obviously they're going to continue their monopoly and their domination of the market, but the truth is, no matter what you do here, e-readers are extremely convenient, they're super portable, and I love them. Okay, I love them, they're great. But as has been my stance on this channel forever, the best way to purchase media is physical media. Books, movies, CDs, games, however you want to do it, that's the best way to do it. Books are undefeated, they are the best way to read. Okay, now again, as I just said, I understand why people have e-readers. I have one myself, they're way more convenient. This is a heavy stack of books and there's only 3 books, right? I get why they're popular, I understand the e-reader culture, I totally get it. I'm not saying you shouldn't use them, but like, pay for it physically and then obtain it digitally however you want. That's my opinion. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it, subscribe for more, like it, and comment down below your thoughts.